Hello guys, it's Sakuems. So in this new video I wanted to show you one of my artwork that I'm working on, but it's not done yet. I realized recently that my process takes a lot of time, like really a lot. And so because I was kind in a rush because I have stuff to finish for Patreon and Ko-fi rewards, before finishing this artwork that I'm going to show you, I figured that I could implement this segment in a vlog and do like an update showing you the pile of projects in the making, because I have tons of artworks that I'm working on, and I will also show you the actual artwork that is going to be part of this vlog. I think I might just show like what I'm working on, and then I will add the segment where I worked on the sketch and the inking for this new artwork and like the beginning of the coloring, but I will save the rest of the clips and, you know, recording the rest for next week video, because there's at least like 4 hours of work remaining plus the edit. And like I said, I realized recently, because if you don't know me, I've been on YouTube for like a long time, 10, 15 years, I don't even remember, and I've tried different techniques along the way. I used to work a lot with Copic markers and pencils, and then I discovered watercolors, which I really love. And about like a year, 2 years ago, I think, I mean slightly before that, but I discovered the gouache, maybe like late 2020, but I didn't really use it at first. I was kind of like slightly scared about it, like familiar, because it really remains like, it looks like watercolors, but it's a little bit more complex and it's a little bit longer to use. Like it takes a lot of time, at least to have the rendering that I want in terms of the style. But I've been gradually just experimenting with it, and lately I am staying at my boyfriend's place. Basically I just come here during the day, I work, and then I come back to my boyfriend's place. And so I'm working at home, and I have like to take the train, and I basically commute mornings and evenings. And so I have a better understanding on like how my schedule is working and how much time I actually spend on an artwork. And yesterday I realized that I've painted for like 3 or 4 hours, at least around 3 hours I think, and I made progress, but so little that I'm like, okay, I don't think I work slow, I just take my time because I want a certain outcome. But I also realized that I would probably have to figure out a way in the future to have a better result in less time, because as someone who is relying on producing content to make a living, if I spend 10, 15 plus hours on one artwork, that means I can't make a lot during a month, and second, I will have to make them quite pricey if I were to sell the original, which I'm planning on doing. So I don't know exactly how other artists are doing it. I think like I need to experiment a bit more with other tools, maybe find a better combo using just watercolors. Maybe watercolors and Copic markers will be faster, but I really like the look of gouache. The thing is though, as soon as I use too much gouache, I can't really add markers on top. I can add colored pencils, but they don't really like it that much. The gouache is really just like one layer and it's pretty much done. Like you can't really add a lot on top. Compared to watercolors, they're embedded in the paper, so I can add something on top. The gouache does penetrate the paper, but it's also stay on top quite a lot. I basically spent a lot of time on just the basic sketch and the line work and all. I wanted to challenge myself because I am obsessed with colors. If you know me, you know that I work a lot with like rainbow artwork. I tend to incorporate different shades and different color family. I'm never really have like shaded any color with just a darker version of that. If I were to use green, I will shade with blue. If I use yellows, I tend to put up some pink or purples. I really like mixing colors and creating contrast, and I end up using most of the time I end up with either rainbowish colors or at least like 3 or 4 or 5. It really depends because I like accent colors as well. So I was challenging myself, and you're gonna get like the first part of that, I guess, with the challenge. I was challenging myself to limit myself to only 2 colors. So I picked out black. I don't use black ever. I usually use a very dark purple or a dark blue, but I don't use black. So I picked out black, and I picked out my favorite color, which is pink. Technically, it's more of a purplish pink. You can do more of a warm pink or a cool tone pink. This one, which you're gonna see, is a very cool tone pink, and it creates purples because I'm mixing it with the black. And the only last color per se I've used in the artwork is just white to use as a highlight color. So technically there's only one color because it's the pink, but you know, technically speaking, I guess, I'm using black and white. So, but I wanted to challenge myself to work mainly in values and to not rely too much on the safety net of using colors as a way to create depth or interesting results to a piece. I feel like sometimes the concept is simple, but you can't really make it special if you have an interesting choice or approach to the colors and the style and the textures and all the painterly effect like you can create. I do like that, but I feel like at some point I'm gonna have to try to figure out a way to balance that with maybe a more limited palette, just to create an ambience or a different vibe. And this specific piece that I'm going to show is pretty much me, because the style hasn't changed, but it's a different vibe. Yeah, I guess the vibe is quite different. It's a little bit more darker, but it has pink, so it's not that dark. But you know, you'll see what I'm doing, what I'm talking about in the reveal of that artwork. But yeah, so basically I'm going to challenge myself, and I think I'm going to challenge myself in the next couple of weeks because I really want to put more videos online. I want to stop being scared of like what people will think, or like how it's going to be perceived, or how many views I'm gonna get. I'm hoping that my channel will pick up. I'm creating tons of content. I have huge projects coming up. My summer is going to be pretty busy. I have like a huge release for Halloween, you know. I have a lot in the making, which I'm going to show you, by the way. But I want to share that with you guys, and I want to make challenging myself in creating things I don't usually do. And I also want to do like Inktober. I want to do a lot of different things. And I'm also quite active on TikTok, so if you don't follow me, you can check TikTok because I'm posting 2 to 3 times a week. But I'm still going to find a way to probably stick to this format, which is like a weekly vlog / art time-lapse, I guess, format. I think that's kind of the best. I don't want to just do random time-lapse art videos, but I don't want to do just vlogs. I also don't really feel comfortable or that I have enough content per se to do clips of vlogs during the entire week, like recording here and there, because most days I want to dive in my work. And also a lot of the days I'm quite sick. I've mentioned that in previous videos. If you're new here, I have a chronic disease. I mean, I have like 4, but I am chronically ill. And some days it's okay, and some days, at least half of the days, I'm feeling pain in some places, or some days I am miserable. So I can't really. Well, first of all, I don't want to record all of those parts of my life. And second, I am usually way too tired, so whenever I have energy, I tend to focus on first creating content for my actual job, And then if I have extra time and things like that, I can think about a video idea and I can incorporate that in like a TikTok or something, or a longer format like this one. But the art segment is like 10 minutes and the rest is going to be the vlog. And I feel like doing an update on a weekly basis is helping me a lot, because I can plan ahead. I can just like give you a recap of what happened. I can also plan for my next week, which I'm going to do, to create the content that I would like to watch myself, and I want to be completely myself. So that's why I'm doing this. And I might also just have some struggles expressing myself because English isn't my native language. I am French, but I'm trying my best to switch the brain to English mode. I would like to do French content, but I know a lot of you don't speak French, so I might just stick to my live streaming sessions. I have done 2 the past month, like this month, and it improved my watch time so much. So I feel like I'm probably going to keep doing that. I don't know when will be the next one. Maybe next week I'm gonna have a stream on either Thursday. I think Thursday next week I'm gonna have a stream. Anyways, long intro. I'm doing a lot better if you've seen my last videos. The last one that I did actually made it private for a couple of reasons, but mainly because this was acting like as a diary kind of way. I had a lot of like positive feedback, but I also don't feel like I need a reminder of how I felt that day, because I was really upset, and I don't want I talked about it on my social media, and truth being told, my one of my family member saw the post and she talked to my mother about it, and it kind of shed a bad light on me. My mom was really worried, and I don't want that to happen. You know, I don't want people in my life, people who actually know me, to find out about things or worry about me via something they saw online. I guess I don't want my family or anyone close to me to be having just a sneak peek of how I'm feeling. And I also feel like they should know or ask me personally. And that got me thinking, okay, like I am doing really badly a certain time, and I don't think, if I don't want to talk about it to my people, like to my friends and family, I don't think I should talk about it online. That's just what I got from that. So that's why now the video is private. Doesn't mean that I won't ever talk about it, but I feel like I'm trying my best to drift away from the parts of my life that provide or bring any kind of pain or discomfort. I am trying to heal, and I'm doing therapy and doing like physical therapy. I'm doing a lot of different things to get better and to find a loophole, like in just this mindset that I have. If you want to find out more about my personal journey in regards to mental health and physical health, I can make more content about it. But it's going to be here and there, not like an entire video, or like not focusing on that, because I really need to not think too much about it. So this now is going to be my happy place and a way to express myself. I have one last, hang on, I'm thinking about an artwork that I recently made that is not in this pile, and I want to talk about it, but I need to find it again. Where? Hang on, I think I know where it is. Found it. I have something in the making. I didn't record it, the first part of it, because I was very much impulsive when I made that. I think I had like an episode of something, I don't know, like releasing some energy. I have no idea really. My brain is so weird. But I want to express myself within my art. You know, I feel like all the energy, all the emotions, everything that I'm struggling with, I've never really painted that, just because I was kind of scared of the outcome. I don't want to dig that deep. I don't want to face it in a way. Acting as therapy, art is quite powerful in that way. I mean, not on the days where I have like a lot of pain, physical pain, those are harder. But if it's mental, I think expressing it on in any way or form that is going to put it out, writing or exercising. But the exercise, like, I like doing sports and being really active, but my pain levels are sometimes way too high. I don't have the energy for it. But there's a fine line between not having the energy for it and being too tired for it, or just being reluctant because it's kind of scary. And I think that in the last decade or so, I was always kind of scared of expressing really myself in a shape or any kind of art form or any style or approach that would shed the light on something kind of darker, just because I don't want to face that. I don't want to look weird. I don't know what people might think, that I'm crazy, which I probably am, because based on what my therapist has said, I am. Apparently I have OCD, which is new to me. I mean, not technically not OCD because I don't have compulsive response, but I have a very obsession-oriented personality, which means I'm obsessing on things, especially negative things or hurtful things, or, you know, my brain just goes full circle that I can't break the cycle. But I think that if I'm using that energy in a different way, like expressing that on the paper, maybe I'm gonna have interesting outcomes. Anyways, that's basically it. This week has been like one of all of those weeks recently, which means that I was able to work fully maybe for 2 days. Then I had like a potato day because I felt extremely worried about a lot of things. Then I was able to work a bit more, but I also medical appointments, which take a lot of time in my week. And then it's Friday today, and I'm finally able and actually excited to do more work, which is good. So technically I'm working part-time, but that's gonna sad. But that's why I'm saying that I can't really vlog daily content in a way. I don't want to bore you guys. I don't want to turn on the camera. I don't want to turn the camera when I'm feeling extremely worried or anxious or miserable, and just have absolutely no content to show on that day. So I had like 2 potato days, being completely stuck in my brain, and I had like I saw my therapist, and you know, we debunked a lot of things. So anyway, long story short, I am kinda doing okay, and I'm excited to share more of who I am and more of my art, and just go back in this new, not go back, but like just embark in this new journey where I'm just gonna stick to what I think would work for me. And I hope that you will, you know, come along. And if you're new here, welcome. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate that. If you'd like to support me, you know, you can subscribe, you know, you can comment or share the videos. You can also check all of my links below. I have tons of content on Patreon and Ko-fi, with like weekly, like tons of updates and monthly exclusive content. I'm selling originals and my coloring books and exclusive coloring sets through my Patreon and Ko-fi page. But yeah, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm gonna show you tons of artworks that I'm working on. And then we'll have the actual time-lapse of me just sketching and working on this new artwork. And yeah, so let's just stop talking about myself for 1 second and share with you tons of stuff that I've been working on. In the last video, I actually couldn't because it was in a pile of books, underneath a pile of books, just to make it flatter. But now I can show you that. So, I have, I don't know how many, 10 or something. But every one of those have a story. So I'm gonna try to be kind of quick still, but I have this piece, which is almost finished. This is called Mineralis, actually part of my last coloring book, Peaceful Fantasy. And I turned that in a coloring page as I was working on this. I really like it. I sketched that into my sketchbook, which I have right here. Let me show you. The original sketch was in here, which I was supposed to color with watercolors or gouache or something, but I really liked it, so I actually didn't color that version. I scanned it and I worked on the concept, and I actually made a larger piece, which is going to be part of the rewards for last month on Patreon and Ko-fi, but I'm kind of late on that, of course. I don't have a lot left to do, like mainly the details on the leaves and all like the jewelry kind of things with maybe like silver or gold detailing, but that's about it. However, the piece itself is going to be part of a step-by-step tutorial that I'm going to have in my art book coming up September. I'm going to work on the art book pretty much the entire month of August and release that for like the back-to-school season, you know, early September-ish, before doing Inktober. So yeah, so I'm gonna have that basically as a step-by-step. I don't have a video record of that. I only have actual pictures of different stages, but yeah, I really like this piece. I'm thinking it might also be like a nice diamond painting. Whenever this is finished, I'm probably going to submit that. We have then this lady, which is kind of old. It's called Moth Queen. No, not Moth Queen. This is another artwork that I haven't done yet, but just Luna Moth, basically. I really like those butterflies. A lot of artists really are so obsessed with those. This again is mainly watercolor as a base, and then I'm working with gouache. I'm almost done with the face. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this. I was experimenting. This is a new paper, which is back bamboo-ish, so it's a bit different. I'm not a huge fan of the paper, but it's still interesting. I have a lot of work to do on this one, and I think I'm going to record the process for like the little moth, basically, because I think it's going to be interesting. The one you're going to see next, I am pretty much like, I don't know how many hours left, but this is how it looks right now. I'm gonna have basically the first part of this, and the second part will come next week. So I haven't finished that really. There's a lot left, and I'm using, like I said, just black and pink. It's quite different when you look from afar. The rendering is different, but the style hasn't really changed much. I'm not a huge fan of the face. I went quite fast when I was working on this, so I really want to change my style in a way. I don't really, it's not that I don't like it, it's just that it looks a little bit too much of my old kind of style, and I want to work more towards another style that I've been working on, which is a little bit different. I'm going to show you that. But I have this one, which I'm going to finish next week. It's really not urgent right now. I have tons of things to finish first, but I have that. We have a paper pad where I prepared 3 little artworks. I have this that is in the making. I have also like some succulents that I've sketched out, and I have like a little like forest vibe-ish with like mushroom and butterflies and a little tree. Really like earthy tones. I usually don't use those. Like I said, I'm trying to limit myself to a certain color palette. This is a lot more green and browns. This is more like the bluish tones, and I really like that actually. As for the succulents, I'm going to do like more pastel art, or like pastel colors. We have then a commission that I'm working on, and I'm really late, but I'm still making progress. This is King Thundril, I think, for Lord of the Wings. The Wings? Wings. Lord of the Rings. So it's in the making. I'm using watercolors, and I'm trying to focus on like being very accurate when it comes to the colors. I have the face going on, you know. Like a lot of work left on this one. It's a pretty big piece, but it's pretty interesting because I have a color reference, so I don't really have to worry too much about color choices. I have actual information, so it's pretty easy. We have a sketch ready for coloring, and I really like this. This is a Japanese girl, kind of like laying down in her bed. We have like a nice landscape, like decor in the background, a lantern. It's pretty hard to show. I have like a pretty high reflection on my screen, but we have this girl, which I really like. I think she might be like a coloring page at some point in the next couple of weeks. Then the last like 3, except the last like weird stuff that I'm making, but the last 3 are not almost ready, but they're kind of like in the same vibe of watercolor portrait-ish. I have this. I've used like some reference that I found on Pinterest. I really liked it because It was a lot of embedded flowers, and I'm using this on a different paper. This is like a cold pressed one. It has a lot more texture, which I don't usually like, but I had the background on this for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, so I figured that I needed to do something with it. So I'm doing like a basic portrait. I'm doing portrait kind of large because the texture makes it harder for me to grip on details. So I need the scale of the artwork to be quite large. So that's why I have this. I'm trying to do like some more basic shading so it's faster to do. But even when I'm doing it fast, it takes hours. So failing on that. I'm gonna have to be quite fast. I don't have a lot of memory left on my memory card. But yeah, I have this background-ish mix, watercolors only, and it's being in the making. It's waiting for its character. I don't have it sketched yet. I need to figure out what style, like what to do with it. I have a few references. I can turn that into pretty much what I want, but I don't have a decision made yet. I don't know yet. I think that was done 3 days ago after like a breakdown of some sort. And I randomly decided to just start painting because I wanted to express myself, and I've used my hands and sponges and random brush strokes. You know, I was very instinctive, and then I worked with a basic reference just to place some elements, so it's pretty much rough still, but it's a bit more expressive than what I usually do. So I have this in the making. It looks really nice from afar and from the viewfinder. So it's going to be a portrait. It's not based, I mean, I didn't want to worry about the concept. I wanted to worry more about the expression of it. So that's why I'm trying to be more loose. There's a lot of texture. It's on canvas paper, so it's quite different. And haven't worked on the face yet. I probably still want to sketch the face just because I want to have a bit more control of that. So we'll see how that goes. I'm actually using gouache on this. I thought the gouache wouldn't hold on that paper, but it actually is holding pretty well. So I'm quite happy with that because I don't want to use acrylics. They're not forgiving enough for me. And the last piece, which I am going to finish today, this afternoon, is Forest Spirit, which I showed, I think, in a previous video, and I've did also that in the last painting session. Is this girl, which is a lot of freaking work. I don't know how long I spent on that one, maybe like 10 hours already, but I have a lot left to do. I need to finish the butterflies. I need to finish all of that, adding more like plants and stuff, making more details. And I really like the texture in the background. And I'm taking my time because I want this to be like high resolution. So, you know. Anyways, that's it basically for all of the artworks that I'm working on. I'm gonna leave you with the actual art time-lapse now and just talk a bit more about the artwork itself, and I'll see you after. Okay, so let's just talk a bit about the actual artwork. I'm not gonna bother you too much because I already know that the vlog section is quite long. I just want to express a bit like how I approach this because it's really different from the colors that I'm usually using. It's also different in terms of style. I'm trying to be more precise and more, I guess, I don't know really the right term, but I'm making decisions that I'm sticking with it. I'm trying to create more high contrast, very clean shapes, but also details with smaller brushes. I'm experimenting a lot with the rendering to get really what I like and what I like the most in my artworks. I feel like I am getting to a point where I really have a nice idea of how I want a piece to look like in terms of the rendering. By rendering, I mean like the actual colors and the painterly effects or the textures that I want to have. The next step for me is working on the concept. I want to have more depth in my artworks. I want to tell stories, maybe incorporating more characters or more, I guess, meditative pictures or more magical things, maybe a bit more of the darker spirit or like the Wicca, dark magic or things like that. I am extremely obsessed and oriented towards nature and magic, and I'm not like a dark spirit per se, but I also feel like there's a fine line between what is dark or light in a sense. I like mystery. I like things that are open to interpretation, and I feel a lot better when I'm surrounded by nature, or if I have a sense of like a magical feeling in a way. I don't know exactly how to describe that. You can call it faith, you can call it like storytelling, or just in your imagination, whatever. But with this specific artwork, the concept itself is not like super tremendously original. It's actually based on one of my artwork called the beautiful. I think I call it the Reaper, or I don't exactly remember the name. But it was based on an artwork that I did for the YouTube Artist Collective in like years ago, and I really like the outcome. What I actually did with this piece, my own artwork, I ran it into an AI generator. I don't mind AI as a tool because I'm literally rendering my own artwork through it, my own concept art, and I've used that just as a reference, like a rough reference of how my idea would be seen by other artists. And I get like some random results that I don't really like, but it's a nice alternate version of my own artwork. And so I actually used one of the rendering as a reference, but it doesn't look like the reference because I've changed pretty much everything almost. You just have the basic composition, which is similar to my original art. So this is like a random girl with very long hair, kind of like a darker expression, surrounded by the roses in a very dark environment. And I wanted it to really look like she's popping out from the screen. So the sketch itself was a bit of a struggle because, like I said, I don't really like the face that much. I feel like because I was recording in a weird angle, I'm really sorry about that, by the way. I'm gonna have to change the way I record stuff for actual artworks, because it works well for a vertical video for like TikTok, but for YouTube it doesn't really work that well. So it's making it less easy for me to focus on what I'm doing. And so the anatomy was a bit off, so I reworked on that offline, I guess, just without recording it, so I can fix a tiny bit of my like mistakes. Not like mistakes, but I just feel like the face was a bit off. So it ended up being slightly better in the end. But I worked on the sketch and I wanted it to remain as clean as possible, because I knew that as soon as I work with the very heavy like China ink and the colors, I will lose the sketch quite easily. And I still needed some guidelines. I could have also just created an abstract background and then do the sketching on top. I usually do that, and I do prefer to have the abstract background first. But for this specific piece, because I was using dark colors, like actual black, I needed to save up some of the light and some of the white of the paper, because if I were to cover too much with this deep China ink, I would have been pretty blocked. Like it would be pretty hard to cover that back with white gouache. Even if it's quite opaque, it's gonna turn gray. So the China ink, I am not a huge fan. It doesn't blend that well. It really, as soon as it touches the paper, it really goes inside the paper fiber. It's pretty hard to dilute again. It doesn't have a lot of pull back from the paper. So in the next artworks, if I were to use ink again, I don't think I'm going to go with China ink. I think I will probably just use black watercolors, because it's a little bit easier to manage. But anyways, I knew that I had to remain careful keeping my artwork. So that's why I did a very detailed, not a detail, but like I did a proper inking process.
not necessarily being very thorough and clean and all, because I knew that everything would be covered, but I needed to have some guidelines and making it kind of sketchy looking. So I've used like a small liner. I've used brown because I felt like black would be a bit too much, and I knew that eventually I would have to cover it. So if I were to hide my lines, brown would be a safer choice because it's going to be easier to cover. So I did that pretty rough inking process, and it's kind of like a training for Inktober, but it was a lot of fun. I haven't inked or like did that in a long, long time. And that's why I wanted to record the entire process of that. So basically, that's what I did first for this piece before jumping in like in the coloring process. And I ended up messing around with textures and creating depth and random lines and creating, I guess, something a little bit more expressive again, not as polished as I usually do, but it also made it kind of weird looking for the face, which is not like terrible because I can easily fix that with paint on top, which is what I'm going to do. But because of the scale of the artwork, it's kind of small. The face is not small-ish, but it's smaller than what I'm usually working with. So I prefer to work slightly bigger, but it was an interesting combo. I'm definitely going to do that again in the future in other artworks. If you want me to combine specific colors, if you have any suggestions in regards to that, any kind of challenges, I would really, really appreciate if you can comment. But yeah, I'm basically leaving you here with this voiceover, letting you enjoy the rest of the sketch and the beginning of the coloring, and I'll see you after that. And I can just like put some music while you watch the rest.
So basically that's it. Thank you so much for watching all of that if you're here. Thank you, I really appreciated that. I'll see you next week for part 2 of the artwork, and I hope that you will have an amazing week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!